Hey boardies, welcome to AmassGames. My name is Simon. Today bringing out a setup, play and review of the game Copenhagen Roll and Write. Now I have talked about these guys already in the unboxing teaser trailer video in this game by Queen Games. It is for 2 to 4 players. Now as you can also see, there are numerous languages which I've talked about in the other video, ages 8 plus, 30 minutes in this roll and write. So in this game there's no real theme going on apart from looking to build your facades. And to do so, the first person to get 12 points triggers the final round. So let me move everything out of the way and let's crack on with what we are having to do. So everybody is going to take one of these sheets of paper. And I've actually got some examples here just to show you. So we can put these away and show you what's going on here. And in this game, it's quite a tight game. I'll give you that review at the end. You're looking to complete these locations, as you can see. Now we'll be doing a dice distance video, show you how far dice roll, of course, to see whether or not these are going to go everywhere. But in this particular game, there's a few things you can be doing on your turn. The first thing is find out who's the youngest player. That person is going to mark an X in their little top left-hand corner up here. They're the start player. Everyone is going to have an equal amount of turns. So everybody's going to take one of these sheets of paper. Then there's going to be a community area here, which is an area where you can be crossing off and filling up your lovely area in Copenhagen, your lovely townhouse over here. Now, the way you can fill this in can vary depending on what you pick. So let's grab these dice, show you what happens when you roll them and make a decision. So let's say I've rolled this. This allows me to take one yellow. As you can see, there's nothing here with just a single yellow or a single red, and there's nothing here. Just by luck, I happen to have 2 blue. 2 blue allows me to draw this shape. Now, a white is a wild, so in this case, I could actually draw, in this instance, a yellow 2 or a red 2. But because I happen to have had 3 in this instance, then I can draw this shape. I can draw this instead if I want to, but I can draw this. Whatever I take, the other players get to draw or cross off one of these spaces each. In a 2-player variant, it's slightly different. You can do both, but if this happened to be a blue, they've just got the one they're using, which I must admit is a bit ambiguous in the rules. Okay, so right now, if it is my turn as the active player, I'm now going to be drawing this shape down here. So I can draw like this, I can actually have an overhang, whatever it is, but there's either one of 2 things you must do. It's always got to be either on the bottom row, or an empty right at the bottom, or it's got to be on top of another shape, as long as it can be hanging down. I'll show an example in the rulebook, which is quite a good example here. There's 5 examples they have, so I said you can't have it actually outside of the box as well. It can be down here, it can be over here, it can't be hanging loose, but you can have it hang over something else. So, like I said, there's 3 things you're going to turn. The first thing is you're rolling dice. The second thing is you're then drawing that shape. And the third thing you're doing is actually ultimately letting the other players unlock stuff. These are abilities, what's known as over here. So when it's not your turn, you are, like I said, able to cross stuff off. When you happen to cross off certain things, depending on the colour, various things happen. As you can see, 2 things are already automatically crossed off. These happen to be abilities. Abilities allow you to, in this instance, do re-rolls. You can roll as many dice as you like. Coming down one, what we have down here is it's called no X. So when you do draw a shape, when you draw a shape here, somewhere in this shape of 3, for example, you're going to write 2 zeros and an X. Okay, the reason that's important is scoring, which I'll come back onto. Let's talk about this quickly. So this allows you to draw more zeros. You want more zeros. If you come down here, it lets you draw a single 1X anywhere you like. So imagine you managed to make some kind of gap here, then you're going to put an X down here. Over here, this allows you to change all of one colour. So let's say we've got 2 reds. If you happen to reach this ability, that's where the abilities are when it is a star, then you're going to cross off that X. I'll show you an example of a completed one in a second. Then you can flip these and let's say make them into a blue. And now you've got 4 blues, which allows you to do this stuff over here. This is important because over here, these are finite. Here it's infinite. Anyone can do these all the time. But over here, there's only one of each of these types. So as soon as you've done it, you're going to cross this off. No one else can do these as well. So if you've done this one, everyone else can only do these. Of course, you could do these as well, should you get enough. Of course, with 5, you have to push your luck to do so. And let me show you how that looks if I turn this over. So over here, you can see we've crossed off a number of things. In a 2-player game, you do cross off one of the 4 square ones as well. Okay, so that's how that goes. And now finally onto that last one. What this represents is you can use again. So when you have crossed something off, you actually are allowed to use one of these shapes again. So imagine you've crossed off this, well, you can come back and do it again, or somebody else can do it, let's say. So, as you can see, we start off with 2 re-roll abilities. When you do use them up, you're just going to cross them off. As you can see, I have been crossing these off as I've been going. Down here, you have these plus symbols as well. Plus symbols allow you to have an extra die. So if you manage to get down here and you crossed off that red X, it allows you now to have an extra red die. So imagine it was a case of the blue. I'd already filled in the blue one. I can cross off that plus symbol, and now I've got 5 blue. It allows me now, of course, to get this symbol here, which fills in a nice, lovely bit down here. So why is filling up important? Well, you will score 1 point when you complete a row. If it's got obviously zeros and at 1 point an X as well, it could be as many X's as it needs to be, at least 1 X though. But if it's all zeros, you get 2 points. Also with columns, if you happen to complete it and there's an X there, you're going to get 2 points. But if it's all zeros, you're going to get 4 points. You also have coat of arms. If you complete this as well, you get to either fill in something over here, or you can fill in another 0. So it's up to you. And of course, you've got some variety there as to how you do it. Sometimes things can chain together. Now, in terms of those coat of arms, yes, it's really up to you, because you can actually draw off 2 squares of a single ability track. So either a single 0, which of course could chain and do something else, or over here. There's 2 options going on there. So as you can see, when it's not your turn, you still have quite a lot of stuff you can be doing, because not only are you as the active player thinking, oh, do I really want to leave them a yellow? Because if I leave them a yellow, then they can have an ability to use an extra yellow die, should they roll a yellow, for example, or if they happen to reroll and get some more yellows. And of course, when you do reach the end, you do score 2 victory points as well. So as soon as you do it, it's immediate. So in that round that you happen to reach 12, then yes, it's going to trigger that final round. That is the final round. So if you're the first player, then that's your final turn. If you were the last player in that round, then of course that will just trigger the end of the game. Sort of thing in the game, well, the original I only kind of gave it a 5 out of 10 to. This one I give it a 7 out of 10 to. I do think there are better roll and writes out there, but it's a light roll and write. It doesn't take too long. There's little downtime. There's a little bit of choice going on in relation to actually what you do roll and what do you want to give opponents, but it's not too limiting. Yes, there of course, as with all roll and writes with dice, there is luck, but I do like the mitigation going over here. The fact that, do you really want to boost up one of these columns? In this particular game, didn't happen to actually meet any of those ones, but that was just playing as a 2. So I did find it interesting. Yeah, filling up most of this grid, it's quite nice to fill in. I like the fact you have different abilities, the fact you've obviously got different things you can cross off, and a bit like games like Gansha and Clever, you can tick off this, cross off this, cross off this. That's quite nice. And like I said, the fact is there's little downtime. As soon as someone's picked their dice, you're immediately taking another die, take your turn to, of course, use whatever you need to use. And if you're playing as a 2, you can roll those dice straight away and you're straight on to the next turn. So it is fast to play. I quite like these very slim box. It feels like some kind of cassette box from the 80s or something. So that's quite cool. Obviously quite massive score pads. These are A5 it seems, so I could laminate them. And yes, I think there's like 100 sheets here, and there's 25 of these. But they are double-sided, so it's basically 250. And yeah, of course, you do need to be having both available. So it's a bit of a table presence, but that's not a bad thing whatsoever. Like I said, I do prefer the original. I think I like the way it gives you something else to do on your turn when it's not your turn. And yeah, I mean, there is a playlist if you want to check out all the other roll and writes I've done. I've played 30 odd, and yes, there's plenty on there, and lots of playthroughs. Like I said, this isn't a soloable game, so I might try and do a playthrough for you. There are other ones in this Queen series that will be bringing you as well, so hopefully you'll let me know your thoughts on that too. The rulebook's fine. Quite interestingly though, they kind of talked about all the things that's going on before talking about the gameplay a little bit, and there's one typo in there too. But aside from that, 7 out of 10. It's an okay game. Obviously it's slightly above average for me. And yeah, I think I quite enjoyed that one, but it doesn't like it has a massive staying power, but it's very sweet, quick to play, and obviously looks right too as well. Well, thank you for watching. That's Copenhagen Roll and Write. Back to the table.